Okay, so what we're doing is working on this next question: create two groups with two users and create a roaming profile for the... So we need to use our server for that. Here's our server starting up. Just waiting until it starts. Okay, so we'll log in. Okay, it should start the server manager. So there's the server manager. Okay, so two users, two groups, and a profiles directory. Okay, so we're going to go to Tools, Active Directory Users and Computers. And under the Users tab here, we want to create two users in two groups. So I'm going to go right mouse click New Group, and I'm just going to call it G1. And I'm going to create another group, New Group, call it G2. And I'm going to create two users. So I'm going to go New User, B1. I'm going to sign in as B1 with a new password, a regular password. And I'll make sure that this is unticked and that the password never expires. So next and finish. And if I right mouse click on this user, B1, I'm going to add him to a group and make him to group 1, G1. Check the name and go OK. So I've added him to the group. And what I'm going to do is copy B1 to B2. B2, he's going to sign in as B2 and password 9. And it picks up that I want the password never to expire from the B1 version of it. Next and next. And you'll find that because B1 was already a member of G1 and I've copied him to B2, then B2 is also a member of G1. So let's look at G1 and look at the members, and you'll see B1 and B2 are both members. So we're going to create users for group 2. So we're going to go New User, U1, U1. Next, usual passwords, and password never expires. Next, finish, and I'm going to copy U1 to U2, and log in as U2. Next, same password. And password never expires. So now we've got a U1 and a U2, but neither of them are members of a group yet. I'm actually going to highlight both of them and right mouse click and add to a group and add them to G2. I'm going to check the name, so it's group 2, and I've just added both of them to the group at the same time. So this shows you that you can copy one user, put one user in a group and then copy that user and to another user, and then they have the same settings as the first user, including group membership. Or I can just create all the users and highlight them all, and we'll add them all to the group at the same time. So both of those sorts of things are quite fine. If I go to group 2 and look at the members, you'll find I've got U1 and U2. Okay. So that worked quite fine. So I've got two users in two groups. So I need to create a profiles directory and apply the appropriate permissions, and then set up roaming profiles for the users. So to set up roaming profiles, I'm going to come back into Active Directory users and computers and do that. So I'm just going to minimize it at the moment, and I'll come back to it. So what we need to do is open up the file manager, and on our drive C we need to create a profiles directory. So right mouse click new folder and call it profiles. Now we need to give this the correct permissions, and the permissions for this are going to be in the properties under sharing. I'm going to go advanced sharing and share the folder and look at the permissions, and I'm going to remove everyone. So I'm going to remove everyone. I'm going to add the administrators group, so ADM, and go check the name and pick the administrators group. And I'm going to make them full control. But I'm talking about all the other users at the moment, so all users. So I want to add something for all users. So I'm going to go add, and I'm going to add in the authenticated users. So if I go AUT and check the names, what I want is authenticated users. So these are the users who are logged into the domain at the moment. They're the authenticated users. Everybody else has no rights. Only people who are currently logged into the domain have rights. And I want them to have change, so read and write, but not full control. And I need to do the same thing. I'm going to go OK and OK on the security tab. So on the security tab, first thing I do is go to advanced, and I disable inheritance, because currently all the permissions for all these people here are all inherited permissions. And so, you could add something and all of a sudden they've got inherited permissions. So I'm going to disable inheritance and remove all inherited permissions and go OK. And then I'm going to edit, and I'm going to add in, again, the same thing, administrators group. The administrators group. So not the administrator, the administrators group. And go OK, and I'm going to give them full control. I'm also going to add in the same authenticated users group. So here it is, authenticated users. And I'm going to give these guys up to modify level, so they do not get full control, but they get everything but. And what that allows is the appropriate level of permissions that allows users to be able to create their own profiles in this directory. Because what we're going to do is switch the profiles from the local machine up to being located on the server. That's what this is all about. So I'm going to go OK on that. So administrators get full control, authenticated users get change on the share and modify on the NTFS permissions. So change, modify. So that's the appropriate permissions on the profile directory. And now we need to set up roaming profiles. Because this is now shared, if I went to /PDC, you would see now that I've got the profiles as a share. It's a shared folder. So what we want to do is, for all of our users, they'll be on other machines like the workstations, they need to be able to access that share, but they can only do that as an authenticated user. So in order to create this roaming profile, if I go back to my Active Directory users and computers, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to do it for every single user. So I'm going to hold down the control key, and I'm going to tap on each user, so I've got all users highlighted. So you can see all users are highlighted. And I'm going to do a right mouse click, and I'm going to look at the properties, and I'm going to look at the account. I'm going to look at the profile, profile. because what we want is this roaming profile. Now, the profile path, I'm going to tick the profile path, so this is going to put a profile path for every person. And in order to do roaming profiles, what you do is double backslash your server name, which in my case is PDC, backslash the share name, which is profiles, backslash, and then this is where we put an environment variable in, which is called %username %. So that means whoever the currently logged on user is will go to his subdirectory in that profiles share. So it's the secret here is %username %. That's an environment variable that slots in the currently logged in name of that person. So if we've got U1, that'll be U1. If we've got B2, then that'll be B2. Okay? So we're going to go OK on that. And what I've done is I've just set up roaming profiles for all of those users. Okay? Did them all in one hit. Now there is another way to do this. You can do this via group policy, and that works quite fine as well. I just showed you the simple way of doing it by doing it in Active Directory, users and computers. Okay, so we need to check that this is actually working. So what we're going to do is we're going to have a look at, I'm going to open up the file manager, go to this PC, and I'm going to look in the profiles directory. There is nothing there as yet. What I'm going to do is get my workstation computer, which is that one, okay? And I'm going to log them out of the administrator and log them in to U1 or U2 or something like that. And what we're going to see is when they log out again, that directory is going to appear in here. So let's just put that over there. We're going to look at our... Okay, so let's log out of... Okay, so our Windows 10 machine. Windows 10 machine's not doing much at the moment. Okay. I'm going to send a inputs, keyboards, Control-Alt-Delete. My workstation seems to be a little bit dead in the water, so I'm going to restart it. Machine, reset it. Yeah, memory problem. Okay, when this restarts, I'm going to log him in as one of those new users, either U1, U2, B1 or B2. Yeah, he's aborted. Okay, so let's restart him. Okay. So we're going to log into the domain as one of the new users that we've created, and it should create the roaming profile up here in the profile directory as we sign out, not as we sign in, as we sign out. So once we sign out of that computer, it sends the profile back up to the server. Essentially makes a backup of the profile onto the server. Okay, so here we are. I'm going to go other user and log on as B1, password 9. And you can see B1.v6 has just appeared. Okay, so this is a brand new profile. And as it creates the directory as we log in, And as we log out, it copies the profile actually back up to the server and keeps it on the server. Now, you notice we didn't do this for the administrator as a user, only U1, U2, B1, B2. So it's only those users that will... what I'm going to do also is I'm going to go to this device manager. I logged in as a standard user, okay. So I can't do anything as a standard user. What I'm going to do is I'm going to log out. That's about all I can do. I'm going to log out as this user. Okay, it's being tricky, so let's go shut down or sign out. So let's sign out. The graphics driver of the guest editions is causing a few problems. Let's log in as a different user. And log in as U2. And you'll see that U2 folder now appears as we create this profile.
Just found out that this is corrupted. Because I tried on that one and Daniel's. So it wasn't the PC.
Okay, so we can see here that U2 v6 has appeared as we signed in. I'm going to sign out, go in as the administrator and get rid of the graphics drive and put it back to just being a standard Windows type 1 other user. I'm going to go in as BMW/administrator. Administrator and okay. Now the administrator, you won't get a new folder in here because we didn't assign roaming profiles to the administrator account. So let's go device manager. And let's go to display adapters, and it's the VirtualBox driver. I want to update that. Browse my computer and let me pick from a list, and I want to go back to the Microsoft Basic Display Adapter. Okay, so that's back to the Basic Display Adapter, which means now when I click on here, maybe I don't get anything. Far out. That works. Okay. So now we've changed the driver. A reboot will fix it. So if I sign out and sign in as, say, B2, we haven't been into B2 yet. Other user. B2 and have a look. B2 will appear up in here. See, there's B2. And that's the roaming profile. So what I want to do is just quickly go back to, say, B1. I don't currently have permissions to access this folder because I'm not the owner. That folder was created by that user, B1, B2. Now, I can take ownership over it because I'm the administrator. However, that sort of causes a problem for that particular user in the future. So I'm going to continue. you've been denied permissions to access this folder. So in order to gain access, I need to go to the security tab and then give myself access to it. Advanced. And I'd need to take ownership over it. So currently it's owned by B1, but I can change that and I can add myself in as the owner of that folder and get access to it. So that's the only real reason why we have, the administrator's got the ability. So let's just say one of these users departed the company, went somewhere else, but we all of a sudden discovered that they had things on their desktop that we really needed. I could come back in here, take ownership over it and find all the information that that profile had. So that's sort of like a fallback method so that the administrator can access the things that might be needed, but still provide a measure of security so that normally people can't access other people's profiles. That's it. So that's the creation of the roaming profile. Roaming profiles for users. So we've created 2 users, 2 groups, the profile directory, put the appropriate permissions in place and set up roaming profiles, and we can see that it's working. Okay, so that ends this video.